to submit to
Because I think
Texas for the fine.
we're gonna be holding them up, unfortunately, even though we've been waiting.
I'm still in the
on them
fringes, because my
forever.
kids still want to do it, so my oldest is
But it
working
is
on his Eagle project right now with the fairgrounds,
Well, then
One
that
left.
gives me a good reason to check on the birds.
and he's sitting at Star, and 2 merit badges to go to life.
Yeah, it looks like they've gotten the
What did
berms
someone
started
always-
there. They've excavated out for the sidewalk now, there's been drop off from
Had a state president once said he's life for life.
Excavated for this
I
way.
think a lot of people
Yes,
ended up
yeah.
life for life.
Sidewalks up
Yeah.
above it. That's
Yeah.
probably the excavation.
I was like, that's where I park.
That's what?
Where I park, where do I
Oh,
park?
they dug that
now?
part out.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Man, Reagan, you've been busy.
but.
Did you have the water figured out with
Yeah, I'm ready to hand it in. Got it rented.
Heard from them
So,
that
University tied on it?
And then they asked me what the check was, and I was like, excuse me,
20
I got the
shares.
bill from you on March 13th. And I put it in the mail on March 29th. That's a pretty good turnaround.
excellent term.
That budget used. That's just everything up for fast.
What did Russ?
Rusty Keno?
Like yourself, I'm just
Yeah,
on the
it's so
edge of just like,
nerve-wracked. Like,
when is it?
Yeah.
I've got, I can't submit to that over until those two checks clear the bank.
Donation to the
Dry Canyon over, up and around, and a
It's
The next
few things, and then it's Gibbons Trail.
until the payment to Romtech and the payment
time
to
right
the
now.
Oh, yeah.
I have to have the
This
capital.
thing here could be shut down. If the
Friendly.
North Sea is
Was it
great.
going to sit down?
It could be
BJ.
doable too.
I forgot that it was.
Took that comment to heart, and he's built a trail already on city.
So much.
Yeah.
A while.
Yeah, you're not gonna do
Until we
anything
talk
without
to
NRCS.
city people.
Another forum last week for
You're
this.
looking at half right there, it just.
Yeah, that's what makes it fly.
There's one
It's
that's
hidden.
stupid steep.
Comfort in knowing I'm
It goes up over. It's like, it's more, this would be, the idea is that it's,
We're all in the same boat.
8 employees or something like that, but some of them are hired back.
not e-bike,
Well, it's just
like,
chaos.
but it's,
Nobody knows
Should
anything.
be ready whenever you are.
Gotta go through the court system and everything else, so.
You guys ready?
Pull up the agenda.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the April 7th COSAC meeting. Looks like it's just the committee and our council representative. Thanks for being here. And any questions or changes to the agenda or the minutes that Brandon sent out? Did you guys have a chance to look at those? Anything? No problems? Well, without objection, we'll approve the agenda for today's meeting and the minutes from our last meeting. Okay, moving on. What's next, Brandon?
So we have a spreadsheet of
Yeah.
applications that were received, that, the chair asked me to prepare. I don't have hard copies of those, but it should be in your email.
Yep.
So,
And then I saw Eric chimed in on the same comment I was gonna make, which were the 2 Cooper properties were kind of transposed.
yeah, and it's still transposed.
I thought I changed them to,
20,
It's the 20 acres is in Wellsville, and that's the one that we conditionally.
correct.
is that right?
Yep, and then go to the next column, and then reverse those two.
Okay. I think that gets that corrected. So I had asked Brandon to, let's start putting together a spreadsheet, that kind of helps to track our applications and stuff like that. And I think I'll probably chime in with some comments after, as a follow-up email or something like that. But, so this is beginning to do that. I think maybe another column or two that I would add, Brandon, would be like the dollar amount, you know, from when a project gets the second round approval from the council.
Okay.
We could maybe show that. We could also show prior to that, like how much they asked for in the original application as one column, what we recommended, and then what the council ended up approving. So it's kind of three
columns.
columns there maybe that I thought would be worthwhile to track as we go along here.
Okay.
Something that comes to mind, but maybe this is more on the back end, just doing it in my head, is what our dollars per acre are, just so we have
Oh, yeah.
reference when other projects come up.
Sure.
You know, like Silva versus Elkhorn, what were the dollars per acre that we looked at there? And that would be, we can either, it just helps when someone comes in to be like, okay, this kind of matches this kind of matches that, what are they asking? But
It may be helpful to add an application date and then date for approvals, round one approval date, things like that. Because as we get more of these and the progress is slow, we want to look
Right.
back and see when that actually was.
USDA column.
yeah, even hidden, even if some of those were hidden columns, just, yeah.
Yep. To know if they got funding from USDA or not, or Ray McCall.
Yeah, we could differentiate between county funding versus other funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, I talked to Gabe, is there an NRCS question still on the Elkhorn now at this point, or?
What do you know, Justin?
Did it go in on this one? If it went on this one, it's in hold still, as far as I've heard.
They put a hold on it all. Anyway, that could change our economics for
Oh, of
sure
course.
as we go.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think we have everything tracked as far as the projects that have submitted an application, an actual application. We've talked to as many or maybe even more about their projects, but they haven't submitted applications.
The big project in Smithfield, between Smithfield and Hyde Park.
The one north of Richmond
Yep.
that I can think of. The one in North Logan
Yeah.
that came before us. There's quite a few, but I don't know how important it is to track those. Those are folks that came to one of our meetings, asked some questions, and we recommended
Even if
that
that
they
was
pursue
like
some things.
a subtable of the main table.
Yeah, is that worthwhile to track those as well?
Probably is.
Wouldn't hurt.
How many make it this far and don't make it any further?
Right.
Say, Chris, I missed the note. What happened to Elkhorn?
Oh, I guess we were talking about the USDA funding, and with a lot of the changes going on at the federal government level and all the holding on the funding for those projects, it's gonna
Oh,
put
yeah.
all projects.
It would. How big a part was that of the,
50
is that the biggest part?
was half.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Got doged, maybe, huh?
It's possible, yeah.
Not to add too many columns, but I'm wondering if a column to add at least the city or township that it's in, because especially after any of us roll off, anyone coming in might not know where the Silva Farm is.
Right.
And it's helpful to know that we're spreading the funds out throughout the valley.
Good point.
Now, they did get some Lee Ray McAllister money for that project. But that was,
That was the other shortfall, or the other section of ours, right?
Yes,
Plus his donation.
correct.
Gotta keep track of the pie.
And I think, obviously, we would do the
Minutes
same
or
things for the
Yeah, they were.
trails section too. We would add
Just
the
recently.
appropriate columns there to cover all
something?
those
April,
items.
February.
Yeah, even funding source, list just a heading that says funding source.
Maybe I said that on
And then the dollar amount of the funding source, so we can look at it at a glance, maybe?
Yeah.
We could just pull that from the applications and,
Total, and then have your total.
If you know the total, we know the percentage that we made up of it.
Yep. Some of those numbers would be handy. Just
Not
to
only that, but
calculate later.
Well, maybe.
yeah, our money got a 4X or a 5X on it.
February. If you have March, could you send it to me?
Any other thoughts or suggestions for
well,
Brandon on
since we're
this?
talking about funding sources, Landon, have you heard anything from the Utah Department of Recreation about funds going away or still being available, especially on the projects that you're proposing?
State funding.
So that's state funding dollars that they're using.
Yep.
Okay, good. Oh, Landis, sorry.
Okay, any other suggestions on this? And so Brandon, as you are able and can add these other columns of information to our spreadsheet and we'll just keep building on it.
Okay.
And I think that'll be helpful to us.
Yeah.
I know when I go and discuss COSAC with the council, et cetera, it'd be nice to be able to refer to ongoing projects and stuff like that, where what we've been able to move along in the process.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, are we on to other business then, Brandon?
Yes, so I don't know if we have our council representative here.
Yeah.
Keegan, I don't know, I shared with the chair some of when you brought up the information about the letters and the council's response, do you want me to share that or would you like to?
If you're familiar, go ahead.
So the council was not in favor of sending out letters is the short version. They just had concerns with, you know, county money and time being spent to send the letters out to private property owners individually. It was pretty brief comments, but they were pretty decisive at the same time. They did mention like the potentially pursuing a PSA, public service announcement. So they did leave that door open. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, or Keegan, if you have additional comments.
So this is in regard, you know, we've spent time over the last several meetings talking about, you know, how can we be more proactive and get more folks interested in submitting applications and stuff, because we're not, you know, it's kind of trickling along, I would say. And so what makes sense, we were suggesting there are key regional areas that we could start with one and move on to the next one and so on and so forth. But it sounds like the council's not too excited about, you know, targeting a component of the citizenry rather than everybody. So it makes me think that in lieu of that, what are the other options? I think we could schedule and facilitate some kind of workshop and invite everybody. There's tools, you know, maybe there's more things we could be doing on the county's website, those kinds of ideas. So
Yeah. Some of these people are not in the area as well, when you look at the ownership list. So can I just share with Keegan, like, this was sold to the public a certain way, and these property owners don't necessarily know, or they're not in the valley, but there's opportunities to provide the voters with what they voted on. I mean, there's images we gave them of the entry to the valley, but yet you got a bunch of landowners that aren't connected with that, or they don't listen to a radio. And that was the thought, is, you know, that for the county to provide what they said that they were going to provide to the citizenry, somehow they've got to be notified.
Yeah, I understand the objective, and I did anticipate the concern that they might have, the rest of the council members, that we'd be spending money to give away money, so that was a concern that was brought up. The other one, I did specifically ask what the council thought of if someone donated, if we would appropriate the funds to that, and there was a concern that certain citizens would be favored if we were spending money just specifically targeted instead of broadly, which I think was where the openness to the PSA came from. So I'll just address those top two concerns, and if there's a way to alleviate those concerns while still promoting it, I think that might get some traction. So that could be a point of discussion. Unrelated, I was gonna ask if we could.
I mean, to some degree, there were winners and losers already chosen on the verbiage of the bond. It said, these are the things we're looking at.
Yeah.
Was there a dollar figure for the cost of the mailing put out?
I think we were thinking postcards, which would be, I don't know what a postcard is, 30 cents per times, what did you guys say, 100?
Well, the original list was down, we pared it down because they didn't want too much response. We pared that down to like 40 or something.
Yeah.
And then legal said, oh, don't go by land size. So then I spent the morning not knowing that there was a change with the getting information from GIS, and then I was working on that data, and that data was 400 and something. But like 164 of those in that area were under 5-acre properties.
Yeah, I don't know what we came up for an estimate, but I would guess it would be under $300 based on what you were talking about. So
300?
that would be my guess, yeah.
It's two-way communication. I convey to them, I'm personally very disappointed that the council wouldn't spend $300 to help optimize the county's $20 million investment.
And we have a 6-year horizon to do that. We're on our way to burning through half of that with many of these landowners not having a clue.
Yeah, I am aware.
Yeah, thank you. What kind of PSA do they have in mind?
Well, I think the radio provides a certain dollar, I don't know the amount, but we have certain real estate on the air allocated to public service announcements, and I don't know, we didn't discuss the nature of the content for that, but I think that was a suggestion that would fulfill or I guess alleviate the concern that it wouldn't be targeting specific individuals.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's the only way to accomplish a more broad message, but that was one idea that another council
Right.
threw out.
So, I mean, if we were to address those concerns, we could say, oh, well, let's just mail something to everybody in the county, right? Well, that doesn't work for, right, the quarter-acre subdivision folks.
Yeah,
That, it's gotta be, so then we would need to only do unincorporated parcels, I would assume, or something like that. I mean, so that's one way to address that concern is, okay, we'll just mail out to everybody, but we would have to give some guidelines to that, I would think, right?
certain addresses like mine where I live near Cafe Sabor, it's not gonna be a relevant message,
Yeah.
or even there's not even eligibility there, so.
But keep in mind that when you look at the list, some of these people that own the land aren't where they,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's a way where you identify every single eligible individual and send a message of equivalent spend to them, or it's proportional. I haven't discussed this at length with the other council members, but just going off the short time that we discussed it and the concerns that were brought up, I'm trying to generate ideas
Great.
within those parameters.
Yeah, good.
it doesn't sound too promising if they're concerned about notifying people to come spend county money, and that problem's not gonna go away.
Yep.
Maybe with the contacts people have, there'd be a private party that would just do it. Get the names, send out
That's
a
another thought I
letter.
had, was like, are there other organizations that could maybe do some of that work?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have the same restrictions.
Yeah,
Do you see any problem with that, Keegan?
I don't know, but I would probably want to consult someone that understands how funding gets appropriated and how, when you're promoting something that's a county service, what the
I'm thinking it would be independent of the county,
intricacies of that are.
just a private effort that would not ask permission. Let's do it.
Right.
It's completely outside the county.
Yeah.
And it doesn't violate free speech, I would assume that's
Yeah.
Right.
permissible.
Right.
There's 20 really key ones, I think, in that gateway. There's, coming through Sardine, if that was a list that we talked about, that's like 6. We're not,
Yeah, there's relatively small numbers.
if you really target the bang for the buck,
Yeah, our challenge is, we're trying to find a way to methodically move through the process. I mean, because I'm sure some folks, when they considered this program, thought, oh, we're offering $20 million, there'll be stacks of applications all of a sudden, and, that was never gonna happen. And so we feel a need to do some level of outreach, and we want to do what the council is comfortable with, obviously.
This isn't lost on me. My day job is sales and marketing. I understand crafting a message for a specific audience, so it is difficult to juggle being a liaison and my personal interests and
Sure.
background and all that, so I'm doing my best to relay.
we appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm getting the
As
note.
objectively as I can.
Yeah.
Good. Other thoughts, other ideas, suggestions we can give to Councilman Garrity? I mean, doing a workshop was something we were interested in, just including the letter. Hey, we're gonna target these letters, say, hey, come to this meeting, our monthly meeting, regularly scheduled, publicly notified meeting or whatever, and ask us questions or let us give a presentation about the program
Yeah.
and see if they're interested.
I think if you have case studies where you're like, we approved this and this was the result and
Yeah.
and this is how people feel about it, and there's more opportunities available, that's not necessarily targeting anyone, but it's
Yeah.
saying, maybe reminding people that what can be.
Yeah.
Might generate some discussion.
Seems like, this idea of a PSA would have to be tied to some sort of, come to the COSAC meeting, we're gonna be facilitating a workshop on the program.
But we'd want to really tell them what it's about with those 6 points or whatever. These are the things that it's for, so that you get applicants that are like, my property matches that.
I should know this, but how much visibility does COSAC or the bond have on the county website?
I have no idea. to
That might be a
honest.
place for very low cost, you could reach everybody, and it could be maybe a major link.
Yeah, just
one
an
of the
informative
departments.
page would
There's
be.
certainly a section on the website for COSAC where it has the members and the meeting minutes and things like that.
Yeah, but if we had like the 5 or 6 targeted areas and what kind of properties would qualify, and
Yeah, like an FAQ.
maybe a running tally
Yeah.
of what's been funded, like
It would
a
be great.
spreadsheet or something,
Yeah.
that would be accessible to everybody. Yeah.
Other thoughts or ideas?
With some of the trail work in the past, we've had, an interview with the host of the radio station, and it was about maybe 15-minute thing. We could set that up to kind of spread the word.
Yeah.
Good idea. And then even speaking of trails specifically, I mean, I don't know, Landis, if you guys are already doing outreach to communities about this program and easements and COSAC and stuff like that, but that's another, right? Instead of the landowner stuff, there's the trail stuff, which I could see
That's a
being
major,
more of a local government workshop or something as opposed to maybe just landowners.
but you've had that on, you get all those at the monthly trail meeting, right?
Yeah, we did talk about COSAC.
COSAC is on the agenda
Okay,
every meeting
that's what I was wondering.
with that.
You're already doing some of this kind of
Yeah,
outreach
and
stuff.
when we're talking to cities, if we think this would be a tool, we make sure they're aware of
Great.
the process.
Great, yeah. So I really think it's the private landowner side of stuff,
Yeah.
open space stuff.
I think the only other thing we could do on the trails is if there was a really targeted trail, like the danger of being on the road between here and Mendon, right? You know, if there was a trail from here to Mendon, or the danger of being on the highway from Richmond to Smithfield. We've got some places that could be considered like, and then UDOT might pay for the trail itself if we actually had the corridor.
Other things? Brandon, has anybody, since our last meeting, come into the office to talk about an application or anything?
I haven't had any additional applications, but we do have scheduled for tonight, not tomorrow's, council meeting, the trails application that was considered
Great.
at last month, so.
Okay.
It'll be considered by the council tomorrow night,
Okay,
so.
great.
Can I bring up something that kind of goes along with this, and particularly with our very first list that you brought up? And Keegan, I want to bring this up to you. We've kind of talked about it, and Catherine said we got to get through budget, and then maybe we could talk about this. But we have landowners, and I'll use Cooper as an example. Cooper's got 20 acres. It's as you're going out towards Wellsville, it's got a pivot on it, right on the side, nice green space, and sets right behind it is the pond, Wellsville Pond. Kind of some nice green space that kind of gives a buffer right there.
Right on the highway.
We approved it, very visible. When you look at linking that up with Bear River Land Conservancy, it's just too small of a project. So the thought that we were working around is what can we do on those type of properties to do more of a small, easy way for them to do it. Now, the easement on that may be, let's just say it's $250,000. I'm not sure. We funded, I think, Elkhorn something to the tune of $5,000 an acre. My numbers are probably off here, but I'm just using that as an example. Mr. Cooper may be satisfied to get $100,000 and not go through all of the stuff he has to do to get the bigger amount of money from NRCS and everything, to get $100,000 and the county get a conservation easement on that land. That's what we would have probably, the $5,000 an acre is probably what we would have approved anyway based on some stuff that we've done. So I would love to see us be able to offer someone like that where we've approved it, an amount that they can say yes or no to without having to go and get our NRCS money and everything as well. He's got access to another 40 acres, I think. He
At
farms
least double what.
Yeah, he
this
farms
first
something like
part
60
was.
acres right there. So if he got 100,000 for that, and
Then
then
he can buy his family out or whatever. it was.
yeah, and another 200,000 maybe. Now he has 300,000. He could maybe go and buy the rest of that property. Now we've got a nice front along the highway there that we now have, he didn't have to go and spend however much on an appraisal with Bear River Land Conservancy. He's getting less than he would, but he gets something. If we had the ability to do that, a lot of these 15-acre properties, or some of these are properties that front the highway, and they would give you constant access to see all the way into the valley at different spots, right? It's 12 acres here, 15 acres here. So I had proposed like a workshop or something we could do with the council to kind of work through that, where we could do something with these individuals that have come in, and they have something that they can work with and make a decision, yes or no. So I don't know if that needs to go through a workshop, or if we just need to make a motion and give that as a recommendation to the council to just try to bust the conversation open. I'm not sure.
Yeah, not sure either, but a workshop seems like it would be appropriate to use, again, a case study as an example.
Yeah.
Show some pictures and explain what's trying to be accomplished and how the order of events is sequential for certain property owners. I think that would help everyone understand.
He went to Bear River Land Conservancy and kind of hit a wall, right?
Yeah, and so there's probably a handful of items we could potentially cover in a workshop with the council if they have to, when they have time for that.
Could we make that request?
Yeah, that would be with the chair,
Okay.
Sandy Goodlander.
Do we do that through you, or do we do that?
I would probably just email her
Okay.
and explain, and you can CC me and say, hey, we mentioned this to Keegan, and he suggested maybe including this as a workshop. Understand the agenda is up to you as the chair. Here's how long we would take. This is the nature of our presentation.
Okay.
I don't see a lot of opposition to something like that, but it's ultimately up to her.
You can reach out to Andrew Erickson at staff, who often coordinates with her about agenda items.
Yeah, it's a good suggestion.
Or if we laid it out with her, at least she would know what it is that we're.
Yeah.
I can send you Andrew's email as well.
Okay.
And I can mention in council meeting tomorrow when we're doing our staff reports that there's interest from COSAC in coming to a council meeting and explaining some of these things more in detail.
Yeah, and whether we come to a council meeting or if it's easier for them to set up a workshop before the council meeting or something like that.
There'd be a lot more interaction in a workshop, I think.
I think so too. Yeah,
would be.
you know, with the Powder Mountain rezone and stuff that went on, there was an hour-long meeting prior to a meeting before to ask questions, more informal setting.
So, any other updates? Do you have any updates for us?
I don't, I just have one request on that spreadsheet to include a column for the score, just to see if the dollar per acre is affected by the score.
It seems so obvious.
You have to be sitting over there to see.
Yeah, that's smart.
The 10,000-foot view over here.
Great.
No, I don't think I have anything else.
Any updates from you and your team, Landis?
Nope, just hoping for council approval, and we'll talk to landowners and move to phase 2.
Great.
When would you be back with another request?
Depends on how long official appraisal takes, then we'll come back with final numbers and round 2 approval. And then we have a grant in for phase 1B for,
Construction?
yeah, for the Nautical Shoreline Trail, which would be 2 more miles in North Logan. We'll know in May if we'll get that grant, and if so, we'll come back to the same thing for that phase.
Awesome. you guys have initiated the appraisal process?
No, we wanna be able to go with council's recommendation.
Sure,
to
Of
landowners.
course. Okay. Great. Anybody else have any other updates? Questions, ideas? Try to move some things along, I hope we can. If there's nothing else, I guess without objection, we'll adjourn. Anybody have anything else? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Is that what you were gonna ask about, the BJ thing?